Good morning, dear student. So, you have seen that in the last videos and in the last class, we discussed about the chemical reaction, how to balance the chemical reaction, and we are studying about the types of chemical reaction. And we have seen that we have to study about the five type of chemical reaction. One is a combination reaction, second is a decomposition reaction, third is displacement reaction, fourth is double displacement reaction, and fifth is redox reaction. So combination reaction already we discussed in the last video. In the today's class we are going to discuss two another reaction. One is a decomposition reaction and then displacement reaction. So now let's start. When we are saying decomposition reaction, composition means something make, and d it means something when we are talking about the deformation, to break. Okay, so decomposition reaction is that reaction in which something is break. Okay, so now let's start the decomposition reaction. Now what is decomposition reaction? A decomposition reaction is a reaction in which a single compound undergoes a reaction that produces two or more simpler substances. For example, I have a compound, like just suppose that I have a compound like water. As you know that water, it means I'm talking about H2O. Okay, so now what happened when we will give current to that, when we will do electrolysis of water, we see that this water, which is made up by hydrogen and oxygen, it splits into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so this is a decomposition reaction, or you can say the decomposition reaction is just reverse of combination reaction. Like combination reaction, you studied that when two and more than two substances mix to each other, combine to each other, they are forming a compound. Okay, that is the combination reaction. And in decomposition reaction, a single substances split up to give more simpler substances to you. So that is called decomposition reaction. Okay, again I'm repeating the definition. Decomposition reaction, it means a single compound undergoes a reaction that produces two or more simpler substances. Okay, like for example, I have any compound like AX, and when this compound splits, it gives you A positive and A plus X. It means that A and X get separated to each other. Now what are the different examples for that? So you can see there are so many reactions are the example of decomposition reaction. The first is water. So when water decomposed, you get hydrogen and oxygen. Same calcium carbonate. So when calcium carbonate split up, you will get it calcium oxide and CO2. Okay, this calcium oxide and CO2. Okay, this CaO, calcium oxide, is also known as a quicklime. Okay, this is the common name for that. Next is a calcium hydroxide. The calcium hydroxide is also known as a slagged lime. This is also known as a slagged lime. Okay, so when this calcium hydroxide or the slagged lime decompose, you get calcium oxide, quicklime plus H2O, water molecule. Next is a potassium chlorate, KClO3, and when this KClO3 breaks, you will get potassium chloride and oxygen. Same H2CO3, when it breaks, you will get carbon dioxide and water. So they all are the different examples of decomposition reaction. Now if we are talking about the decomposition reaction requires some medium, requires something to break the compound. It might be heat, it might be a sunlight, it might be a electric current. Okay, so according to the category, we are classifying the decomposition reaction in three category. The decomposition reaction in which we use heat or or temperature, we are saying that thermal decomposition reaction. In that reaction we are using sunlight, we are calling them as a photolytic decomposition reaction. And in that reaction in which we are using electric current, we are calling them as a electrolytic decomposition reaction. Now let's start. This is the decomposition reaction by sun. Now you see that if we kept something in the plate like silver chloride, when we kept in the plate, and when the silver chloride gets the enough light of sun, then slowly and gradually it started decomposition. Okay, so this is the decomposition, and we are calling that kind of decomposition as a photolysis or a photolytic decomposition. It is observed that white silver chloride turns gray on exposure to the sunlight. Next is the decomposition reaction by heat. Now here you can see that for decomposing the substance we are using heat here. We have taken calcium carbonate and copper oxide in a test tube and we are heating that. And when this calcium carbonates heats, it forms calcium oxide, copper oxide and carbon dioxide. So we have taken copper carbonate in the test tube and we are heating that, and we get this copper oxide and carbon dioxide. So this is the decomposition reaction. And which kind of decomposition reaction is there? This is called as the thermal decomposition reaction. Now the next is the electrolytic decomposition reaction. Electrolytic decomposition reaction, it means when we are passing electric current. So electric current, you have seen that water molecules is break into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so this is the electrolytic decomposition. And now what are the signs for these decomposition? So if the decomposition is thermal decomposition, we are using the sign of delta in above the arrow. This is for the thermal decomposition. If it is a sunlight decomposition, means a photolytic decomposition, we are writing the symbol like this. Okay, H nu. And if this is a electrolytic decomposition, then we are writing EC above the reaction. So this is the symbolic representation of which kind of reaction it is. Okay, so it is very important, at least 1-1-2-2 example you should know about all these kind of reaction. Now we are coming to the next type of reaction, that is a displacement reaction. Okay, so when we are talking about the displacement reaction, displacement, it means that something is changing its position. Okay, so now what is a displacement reaction? Displacement reaction is that reaction in which a more reactive element displace less reactive element from its salt solution. Displacement reaction are those reaction in which more reactive element displace less reactive element from its salt solution. Now see, this is the displacement reaction. A displacement reaction is one where a more reactive metal will displace a less reactive metal from a compound or its salt solution. Now here you see that here we are just taking magnesium and we are just taking copper sulfate, and you see that when this magnesium react with copper sulfate, now after reaction this magnesium is taking the position of this copper, and copper is just get displaced by this magnesium because magnesium is more reactive than the copper. So the compound form, it is a MgSO4 plus Cu. Okay, so this is called as magnesium sulfate plus copper. Okay, so this is the displacement reaction. Displacement reaction means when more reactive element displace less reactive element from its compound or the solution. Okay, now how should we know that which element is more reactive and which is the less reactive? So here there is a reactivity series in which you can get the idea which element is more reactive and which element is less reactive. So those element which is below the hydrogen, they are less reactive elements, and those above the hydrogen, they are more reactive elements, so they can displace their salt, the weak metals from their solutions. So you should know, you should write this table in your classwork copy, and you have to learn this table, because only then you will be able to identify which element is more reactive and which element will be less reactive. Okay, so this is some example. Like here you can see that iron react with copper sulfate solution, and you have seen that iron is more reactive than the copper. Here you can see that where is the position of iron, iron is here and copper is here, so it means who is more reactive, iron will be more reactive. Okay, so definitely the iron displays copper from its solution, and you have seen that in this copper sulfate solution, iron has taken the position of copper and copper get displaced. So this is the single displacement reaction, or you can say a displacement reaction. Next, they are the different examples of the displacement reaction. Okay, you can see that. Now what is your work of today? Your work of today is that you have to write the definition of decomposition reaction and one reaction, and then you have to write the three classification of decomposition reaction, like thermal decomposition reaction, photolytic decomposition reaction, and electrolytic decomposition reaction, with at least one example in your classwork copy. And after that you will write the displacement reaction with the proper definition and at least two example in your classwork copy, and then you will submit your classwork copy PDF to me in my personal number. Very soon I'm just going to make a group of your copy submission group, so all of you will submit the copies in this group only.